Two things are surefire in this lifetime: death and taxes. For everything else, there's MasterCard, keeping college students in debt for years now. Coming in at number 5 is Grindhouse. Oh shit, we're at the top 5, baby! Grindhouse. One of the best and most underrated movies in the past 10 years, is one of my favorite horror movies of all time for kicking it old school and giving you your money's worth. Back in the day of Grindhouse movies, people would go to the movies for an experience rather than just simply going to see a movie and going home. You didn't just get a movie, you got to see a whole damn show. You would have drive-ins, 2-for-1 movies, explicit B-movie showings, and even interaction during the movie like lighting effects, chairs moving, people in disguises hiding to scare you, and even shit flying from the ceiling like skeletons. Hell, during showings of the original House on Haunted Hill, theaters would have plastic skeletons fly on a wire across the room to scare people. I mean, it was interaction at its best for your hard-earned money. Grindhouse takes the classic 70s B-movie style and kicks it to fucking overdrive. You get 2 great movies for the price of 1 and awesome fake trailers in the movie itself. For $10 fucking a day now, I want my money's worth, and Grindhouse delivered. Some people complain that it's too long, but hey, it's not the movie's fault if you have the attention span of a rock and don't value your money. As for me, it could be 10 hours long. As long as it's 10 ass-kicking hours, length isn't an issue. Coming in at number 4 is Dawn of the Dead 2004. Look, I don't give a rat's ass what anyone says. This movie just destroys the original one to me. Period. And that's not a bad thing either, because that's a great movie being beaten by an even better movie. It's like awesome on top of awesome. Anyways, Dawn of the Dead 2004 takes a more serious approach to the movie than the original one did, and manages to scare the shit out of you in the process. It also did a great job of establishing characters and developing them. Take CJ for example. He started out as a prick we didn't like, but by the end of the movie we were, or well, at least I was cheering for his ass to survive. Pacing is also excellent, and this movie does not let up or slow down. The zombies are also fast and scary like some shit out of 28 Days Later, and the action scenes are top notch. Both versions of this film kick major ass, but I just gotta hand it to the highly talented Zack Snyder for doing a better job. Coming in at number 3 is From Dusk Till Dawn.
You be cool.
Be cool? Shit, this movie is more than cool. From Dusk Till Dawn is my pick for the undisputed greatest vampire movie of all time in the history of horror. Yeah, that's right, fuck these pussy vampires who are all romantic and shit. That stuff has been done countless times and is more than played out already. From Dusk Till Dawn brought a new breath of fresh air to the vampire genre and combined the vision of Robert Rodriguez with the brilliant writing of Quentin Tarantino. I mean, there's not enough good I could say about this movie. I mean, it has a great cast, great performances, excellent story, and above all else, it actually has scary and fucked up looking vampires, which is what I was begging for years and finally got. Another thing that makes this movie so great is that it's bona fide badass to the max. You have a bar named the Titty Twister that's run by creepy vampires, and George Clooney and Quentin Tarantino who are badass outlaw bank robbers. Throw in makeup legend Tom Savini in there as a biker called Sex Machine who has a literal cock gun, and the original Shaft as a messed up nom-bet killing stripper vampires and mutant vampire rats, and you have one of the best fucking vampire movies of all time, period. This movie was just scary as hell and balls to the walls and basically said, hey, I got hair on my nuts and I'm teabagging everyone. This movie is just beyond awesome and has one of my favorite lines in the history of horror movies.
Welcome to slavery.
No thanks. I already had a wife.
Coming in at number 2 is The Exorcist 2, The Heretic. I'm joking, I'm just fucking with you, I'm joking. Coming in at number 2 is The Exorcist. Regarded as the scariest movie of all time, The Exorcist pushed the limits of not only movies in general, but the way horror movies were perceived. Every detail to make you cringe and disturbed was taken into account in order to ensure that you would leave the screening of this movie frightened one way or the other. I mean, holy shit, some of its trailers were too scary to be released in theaters at the time, so it had to be recut, and the movie itself actually made people freak out on all sorts of levels. From screams of terror to people passing out and throwing up, I mean, it was just freaking crazy. Brilliant performances and excellent cinematography only made the movie shine more than it already was. Even the scenes of dialogue were shot with great care as to get the best result for a creepy scene. The scene when the priests are talking to the demon was actually shot in a cold ass room as to get a scarier image, and a shot showing how cold it actually was. No special effects or CGI like today, nah. They straight up froze their asses off just to shoot that scene. I mean, talk about committed to a rolling scene, man. Even though this movie is considered dated by today's standards, The Exorcist still stands the test of time as one of the greatest films in the history of movies, and they just don't make flicks like this anymore. So we're down to number 1, the Big Uno. And what is it? What's Spidey's favorite horror movie of all time? Well, you gotta remember 2 things here. This list is only my opinion and not what I consider as fact, and I am very frightened by a good creepy religious story. And with that said, coming in at number 1 is The Exorcism of Emily Rose. Again, I'll say it, good, creepy, religious stories scare me good, and the only reason I placed this movie above The Exorcist was due to the fact that it scared the crap out of me as much as The Exorcist did, but it achieved the same goal by using less. The main reason for me is because it used less to massively scare and entertain me. The Exorcist was an amazing movie, and still is, but let's face it, the movie wouldn't be the same without all of its creepy and disturbing content. The Exorcism of Emily Rose, on the other hand, decided to scare you by way of its story and performances. Based off of the story of Annalise and Michelle, The Exorcism of Emily Rose brilliantly combines drama and fantastic spine-tingling horror to make for one hell of a scary movie. Jennifer Carpenter's performance was amazing and Oscar-worthy, and she is the modern-day Linda Blair. Carpenter, unlike Blair, gave an amazing and creepy performance without the aid of blood, gore, or heavy makeup. It was just Carpenter and her talents alone that created her creepy performance. She didn't end up acting possessed by a demon, she basically became a possessed victim. Charismatic Tom Wilkinson of Batman Begins and Michael Clayton fame lends his talents as the priest and brings brilliance to the role and the movie. Another strong point of this movie is that it manages to scare you by way of its dark tones and story. You never really see any monsters or disgusting things pop out at you, but just the sheer notion that shit like that is lurking close by and it can see you but you can't see it is a terrifying idea. I even underestimated this movie because it was PG-13 and ended up so freaked out that I was scared walking home that night after seeing it and didn't get much sleep either. Oh, and on another note, what makes it even creepier is that me and all my friends that went to go see this movie woke up at 3 a.m. that very night. Scary. Anyway, love it or hate it, this movie is one of the best movies to deliver the scares without having to rely on special effects or cheap convention. Well, that's it for this list. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you want to list your top 20, post it in a video response or in the comments section below.